Welcome back to another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. This is episode 128. I hope everyone is having a great day, great night, wherever you are around the world. I am your host, Joseph Munroe, joined by my guest tonight here, Andrew Bing. He is joining us here. Andrew, it's great to have you on the show again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a eventful year, being freshman at Howard and now being on this podcast, participating, being able to spread my opinions and takes because at the end of the day, going through college and going to the future, I'm trying to make an impact and just let my voice be heard. So there's an opportunity to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got a lot to get into on tonight's show. I mean, there was a lot of madness that went on in college football this past weekend. The Florida Gators won. They beat Ole Miss. Alabama lost to Oklahoma. The Ohio State, your Buckeyes rolled Indiana. I mean, the college football landscape with the playoffs tomorrow night is going to be a massive shakeup. I know we saw the AP poll that came out today. Really can't talk much about that because the college football playoff rankings are going to be one for the ages tomorrow night. Will Alabama still be in? We know Ole Miss is probably going to be out. Where does Indiana fall? Where does Army rank in there? Because they were 19th coming into the game before they lost to Notre Dame in a big game there. But I mean, overall, NFL too. Your Commanders, they lost. They off a missed field goal to the Dallas Cowboys. My Patriots got rolled by the Miami Dolphins. But overall, good football weekend. And now we got the Chargers and the Ravens playing tonight. The two Harbaugh brothers, their first time matching up in the first time since the Super Bowl when the lights went out. I think that Super Bowl was in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. That was the Jacoby Jones run back. Rest in peace to Jacoby Jones. But tonight's game should be good between the Chargers and the Ravens. But I think we'll get started with some college football. Also, we got Thanksgiving coming up this week with the Thanksgiving games as well. But yeah, man, that college football weekend was crazy. How did you feel about the Ohio State Indiana game?
I felt like I felt like it was a lot of people were overhyping it. Like people were saying that, oh yeah, Indiana's gonna show that Ohio State's frauds, and
Mm-hmm.
they were gonna put them in their place. And I mean, I can understand where they're coming from because I mean, looking at Ohio State's track record this season, like they don't look like that strong of a team like we were talking about before. Like, I mean, going into the season, like personally, I felt like they were the best overall team in college football because they had the number one ranked defense, and then they had probably the most talented receiving core. They had um they had the best running back backfield,
Mm-hmm.
um and then they had one of the best O line. Like kind of the only thing I was a little like iffy about was Will Howard. Like, I mean, every Ohio State fan was kind of iffy about Will Howard because, like, I mean, we've had QBs like C.J. Stroud, like Justin Fields, even J.T. Barrett, and Cardell Jones. Like all those QBs, like they stood out. Like they overachieved, they performed. But like Will Howard, like he was somebody that like people weren't really sure like what he was going to do because last year we had the same issue. Like we had a QB issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had, I think,
Kyle
I
McCord.
think, yeah,
Kyle
we had
McCord,
Kyle
yeah.
McCord, Kyle
Mm-hmm.
McCord, who he went to,
Syracuse.
Syracuse, and he's
Yep.
not, and he's actually doing better than he was. Like I think I saw he was top in passing yards and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he was someone. But like once it came to like, when they got into the bowl game, they put in like, um, they just like benched Kyle McCord and tried putting in like
Devin
Devin Brown.
Brown. Devin
Yeah,
Brown, yeah.
yeah, and then
Let me ask
when
you.
that,
Let me ask
yeah,
you. Let me ask you right off the bat because we got to get into this here. Do you think Ohio State is the best team in the country? We had this conversation a few weeks ago. You and I. They beat Penn State. They beat Indiana. Do you think Ohio State is the best team in the country?
I don't think they can be the best team in the country until they beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship.
Do you think they'll beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship at a neutral site?
If they don't like choke against Michigan next week, then I mean this
Oh, they're
week,
not going to
then
choke against Michigan. Yeah, we got to talk about that too. The previews of this week of college football. We got Florida State, Florida, the rivalries. We got South Carolina, Clemson. We got Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl. But we'll get to that here in a little bit. But I want to stick here on Ohio State. Do you think they're so? You don't think they're the best team in the country? You think Oregon still is?
I think Oregon. I feel like Oregon track record wise, like they haven't. Only people they really beat was Ohio State and Boise State, but it's like still
Right.
it's the fact that they're undefeated and there's like a turnaround and I got to give them credit because this is their first time in the Big Ten, and Big Ten,
Hmm.
even if you don't want to say it's better than SEC, it's still a top two
Right.
conference in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's like so the fact that they can go from the Pac-12 and come into the Big Ten and just like automatically be like one of the best, if not the best team, like that
But
just
other than Ohio
show.
State, who have they played? Other than Ohio
Yeah,
State, who has Oregon played? Is Oregon can like obviously we know they're the number one team in the country, but are they really the best team in the country? I know they beat Ohio State by 1 point. It came down to the Will Howard situation there at the end of the game where the clock
yeah.
management situation. But is Oregon really that good? Like I know Dylan
I'm,
Gabriel's good, but has Oregon really played anybody?
I mean, that's why I said Boise State, but even Boise State could have won that game against Oregon if they really wanted
And
to. Like they,
and Boise State's whole team is Genty, so Boise State's really nothing to write home about either.
yeah. I think Oregon is definitely like they didn't get to we didn't get to really see Oregon
Mm-hmm.
like dominate the Big Ten because like they didn't play teams like Penn State, they didn't play Indiana, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
play. I mean, they didn't play like. I mean, those are like the top four teams are like Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon in the Big Ten.
Right.
But they didn't really. I don't feel like they had any game where it was like besides the Ohio State game, like that was a game where it's like the atmosphere, like they had all the odds against them. Like
Yep.
people, like they were going into the game where Ohio State was favored, like and thought everybody thought like Oregon was just gonna fall down in the rankings because like they kind of came out of nowhere. Like they were like a top 4 or 5 seed, and then they went to like 7, 8, and like 9, and then they were like about to fall out of the top 10, and then they beat Ohio State and become like a top 3 team. It's like,
Well, I mean, let's just move on to this point here. What 3-team loss will get into the college football playoffs? And that's a question that has to be brought up because you have Texas A&M. They lost to Auburn this week, but they play Texas this week, and whoever wins that game goes to the SEC championship, and it'll be they play the winner. Those two teams will play Georgia in the SEC championship. So now you got Texas A&M at a potential 3 loss because this situation with college football this year is insane because last year they didn't even let a two-team loss, and now we have to bring the conversation about a 3-team loss. Excuse me, a team that's lost 3 games. Alabama, they're out. We know that. There's no way they're getting in. There's no way there's a miracle going to happen there. Ole Miss is out. Florida just beat them. So now you're down to A&M with 3 losses. The only team that could potentially get in with 3 losses is A&M because Alabama and Ole Miss are out. So the question remains is what 3-team loss will get in? Who do you think will get in?
oh, I was another team that has 3 losses now that I was really disappointed that they lost last week because I feel like everybody wanted to see them in the college football playoffs is Colorado. Like I feel like
Oh,
Colorado.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're not going to make it now. You know that.
Yeah, I mean they still
They're out.
have it's still a possibility, but it's like I don't think they're getting in.
There's no way. There's no way Colorado gets in the college football playoff, mainly because they just lost to Kansas last week, who was unranked. That doesn't really solidify your case right there. You haven't really beat anybody worth a damn, and stacked up to the other teams. And if you win next week against, they play Colorado. I'm pretty sure plays Oklahoma State. So then they'll play them, and if they win that game, then they'll potentially go to the Big 12 championship, and they would possibly play BYU. I think you can look this up, but
They
I
probably play like Arizona State because
Arizona State, right?
Yeah,
Right. Unless they win their conference, which Colorado's not going to win their conference. So I'm going to say they're officially out of the playoffs. I don't see them getting in. But this college football landscape is just absolutely insane. I mean, this week 14 preview, you have Michigan versus Ohio State, Florida State, number 17 Clemson versus number 18 South Carolina, Texas A&M at 20 right now in the AP. These are the AP rankings, so just none of these are official yet until the playoff rankings come out tomorrow night. Versus number 2 Texas, A&M versus Texas, Clemson versus South Carolina. The winner of Texas A&M versus Texas will face Georgia in the SEC championship. It is going to be an insane shakeup. But I want to ask you this here: what do you think of college football field storming? Do you think college football's field storming should be banned?
um, I don't feel like the feels. I mean, I don't think it should be banned, but it's like, but I can understand why they would ban it because like people have been storming the field before the games even end, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and then it takes time to get everybody off the field, and it's like a disruption, and also when they take the goalposts, Like I get it if you did it once or whatever, but like
Right.
repetitively doing that, like that's like that takes time to put it back, and that's like damaging property basically. And it's like, and
Yeah, go ahead. Go
it's like,
ahead. No, I
oh,
was going to say,
and
yeah, go ahead. Go
oh
ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
oh, and I just feel like the thing is about it is the the storming, like the storming the field, it gets old unless like you're a
Hmm.
smaller team that upsets, or if it's like if you do it one time, like really you should do it, like you should really only do it like one time. Like it should not be like okay, we continue to upset like you, like I wouldn't even want to storm the field, um storm the field like multiple times because it doesn't feel
Hmm.
the same.
Yeah. Well, the thing too, how I feel about field storming, and we talked about this a lot on the podcast with court storming, field storming. Happened to the Duke Georgia Tech game last year with Kyle Filipowski. He got hurt. They did it in the women's basketball with Caitlin Clark in Iowa and Ohio State last year. And now we're talking about here with college football. I don't know how you're going to be able to ban field storming because fans are going to be doing this left and right. They're not going to stop doing this. So like, I don't know how you can ban it. Like, you're not going to be able to put a chain fence around. You're not going to be able to put a gate up. These fans are crazy as it is. They pay a bunch of money. They don't care. I know that they said that they will arrest fans if they field storm. The thing is, on the other side of the coin too, with the field storming is, I think the fans, I don't know if they care, but I think they should really realize that when you do this, you're hurting your school because the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC is fining your program. And that also takes away from NIL money for these players because now college players are officially getting paid. We just saw it with Bryce Underwood flipping his commitment from LSU to Michigan, the 5-star there, a lot of money he just got. So it's like, I think it's hurting the organization or the team because of, you're hurting you're hurting your organization as a whole. It's like, if you love your team and you love your organization so much and you go to the games, like you said, okay, one time is fine, but multiple times, and then like the Ole Miss Georgia game of 2 weekends ago, you had the fans on the field even before the game was even over at 16 seconds left. It's like the coaches and the players are in harm's way, and also too, but your star player could potentially get hurt because some drunk college kid comes in and absolutely crack pops the court. Will Howard, DJ Lagway, Travis Hunter, all because, for excitement. I get it. The fans are the reason why the players are here, and the organization as a whole. But when you look at the bigger picture and you look at NIL, I think it's a bad look, but I really don't know how you're going to be able to ban it. I really don't. And they're going to have to, find some sort of way because now, like I said, the players are getting paid. So you're going to have to sit there and figure out, how can we prevent this? Like, what can we do to stop this? Because some player is going to get hurt. A big name player is going to get hurt, and it's going to be bad. So
Maybe
that's just how I feel about it.
maybe they just need to be as strict as like professional like NFL or NBA, because the thing
Hmm.
is like when it comes to like NFL, like literally I was at the game um when the
Hmm.
Commanders they went against the Bears, and then they had the Hail Mary and pulled it off.
Yep.
And the fact, like, if that happened in college football, like, oh yeah, everybody's gonna storm the field after that.
Right.
But everybody held their composure and like stayed in the crowd and just celebrated amongst themselves like during that moment. Like you
Yeah.
didn't see anybody go into the field because like NFL is very strict. Like yeah, someone probably would have got arrested and like fined, and like it would have been a lot of repercussions for like
Hmm.
Washington, or and it's like especially for a team like Washington trying to build back up their name and stuff, like that would have been a bad
Yeah.
reputation. Like a lot, it would have been a lot of backlash.
Well, no, and you're absolutely right too, and that's the big issue that I have is how I see it as a different whole, because like, we've said the players are getting paid officially now. You're hurting your program as a whole, so I think that they're gonna have to figure a way out. But it'll be really interesting to see because, will it happen next weekend? This weekend, I went to the Florida Ole Miss game this past weekend, and they said on the loudcom speaker, if anyone rushes the field, you will be arrested. Now, I'm surprised more people didn't rush the field. People were yelling about it in the crowd, but there was one person and they got arrested. So there you go. Like you said, in the NFL, they don't allow it. The NBA, it doesn't happen. But you should think, bigger picture. Well, I don't want my star quarterback or my star receiver to get hurt all because some bozo drunk college kid has to go in and get his 5 seconds of fame. But let's move on to the Heisman Trophy here. I got to ask your opinion here because we're coming up on the last weekend of the season. Who's your Heisman?
Well, I don't know if you saw, I added to the conversation the note. I added Shador's name because I feel like
I did not see that. Oh, I did. I did see that. I did see that.
yeah, because
Shadur? What?
yes, because I feel like Shador,
No.
he definitely he's someone that's changed around Colorado. Like, yes, you got Travis Hunter, but Shador, like most of the games I was seeing, like Shador was putting up like legendary numbers. Like he's putting up 400 yards. Like
What about
he's putting
Cam
up like
Ward? Over
Cam
Cam
Ward.
Ward?
I'm not putting him over Cam Ward, but I'm saying like
Oh,
I feel
okay,
like it's a
okay,
top.
okay,
I feel
okay.
like he's in the top five, like in the
Well,
top five conversation.
well, with New York, there's only 4 finalists. You got Travis Hunter, Genty, Cam Ward, and Gabriel. So, because last year the finalists were Marvin Harrison, Jayden Daniels, um, Marvin Harrison, Jayden Daniels, Bo
Wasn't
Nix,
Caleb Williams?
and Michael Penix. Or
Oh,
was it?
Caleb wasn't it?
I don't think Caleb made it to New York. You can look it up, but I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure the finalists were it was Marvin Harrison because he had that record-setting year at Ohio State last year. You had
Yeah.
Penix, you had Jayden Daniels, and then you had was it Caleb Williams or Bo Nix? Was it Bo Nix or Caleb Williams? I'm pretty sure it was Bo Nix.
I,
Heisman.
yeah, it probably wasn't Caleb because I don't think he was a headline.
Yes, it was. It was Jayden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, Bo Nix, and Penix. Okay. Don't ask me why I know that. I just do. However, the Heisman Trophy winner should be Cam Ward, but I don't think he's going to win it. We had this conversation on the podcast last week. They're probably going to give it to Travis Hunter because they love the narrative of we've never seen a player like this, even though Champ Bailey did it, but he never won the Heisman. I think the media and the Heisman committee wants Travis Hunter to win it, but because it's a special thing. It's like Ohtani in baseball. He pitches and he hits. We haven't seen this at this high level of play. But in my opinion, it's a quarterback's the best position on the field. The only reason why Miami is even relevant is because of Cam Ward. And I think you can even agree with this. Cam Ward does deserve the Heisman. He's not going to win it. They're going to give it to Travis Hunter. He's already the runaway favorite. But that's just my opinion. I think that Cam Ward deserves it.
I feel like it's a QB, but I feel like the reason why this year, like in college, like they should make it about Genty and Travis Hunter is because of the fact that it's like we're seeing in the NFL, like how Derrick Henry, he's putting up legendary numbers, and Saquon, he's doing his thing, and they're in the conversation for MVP. But like,
of course,
if you look at the MVP odds, like they got like Patrick Mahomes over, and like if we really compare Patrick Mahomes to Derrick Henry and Saquon this year, like I think most people are going to take Derrick Henry and Saquon over Patrick Mahomes this year. Like, yes, I get it's Patrick Mahomes, but like you can't just go off of he's a QB, his name, his resume. Like you got to go off of what the numbers are this season. And like Derrick Henry changed. Like the Ravens were really good last year, but like the Ravens, they probably are worse this year. But it's like offensive wise, like Lamar and Derrick Henry, like they put up some of the best stats together. And Saquon, he's been tremendous for the Eagles.
He's been tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah, he struggled.
No,
the Eagles struggled in the first round last year against the Bucks, and yes, that's because they had injuries. But like this year, I haven't seen them really struggle like any game. Like yes, they have a couple of losses that maybe they shouldn't have had, but they've been pretty dominant. Like especially they came in to the Washington game where people thought, oh, they were gonna lose at home, like they were gonna like be lackluster like Washington, which they were looking pretty bad, but Saquon showed he clutched up, he put the dagger in the game. And then even last night against the Rams, which we haven't even talked about that game since we were talking about college, but like
we'll talk. Go ahead.
But like Saquon, he put up amazing numbers. Like I was talking to someone today about it, like put up like
255 rushing yards. 255 rushing yards, 302 all-purpose scrimmage yards. It was crazy. We'll get into the NFL here shortly. I want to wrap up on the college football real quick. I just want to say the Florida Ole Miss game I went to this past weekend was amazing. I had a great time in the Swamp. I was texting you at the game while you were watching the Indiana Ohio State game. We won a 12 o'clock kickoff game. The Swamp is absolutely electric. I mean, it's one of the best atmospheres in college football. I wish it wasn't a noon game, but for the Gators, and going to school there and being a part, around the fan base and stuff, winning 2 games in a row over ranked teams when nobody even thought the Gators were going to even be at 6-5. Everyone thought they were going to be like 4-8, 3-9. They're building something special in Gainesville, I have to say. We talked about it on the podcast last week. DJ Lagway is special for the Gators. He is the guy. He is the reason why they'll be ranked next year coming into preseason rankings for sure. And I think that a lot we've already seen this past weekend how many commitments have already flipped to there. I think that there's something special brewing in Gainesville, and it's shout out to them because it was cool to see. Nobody thought they were going to beat Ole Miss. I thought they were going to cover their spread for the betting odds. I didn't think they were going to win that game, but from where they were earlier in the season to now to almost beating Georgia. But if you haven't got on the Florida DJ Lagway train yet, Bing, he's special. I'm telling you, he's really, really good. He's not even fully healthy right now. The way they're playing, I'm watching him at the game, and I'm like, this guy's not even fully healthy. I mean, he's got a deep, beautiful deep ball, but it was just a fun atmosphere to go to and watch, and it was special. The last home game of the season, it was senior day, but yeah, I had a great time in Gainesville this past weekend going to the game. It was a great time.
I would say I would want to see a rematch this season between like Florida and Tennessee. I feel like it would be a good game.
I want to see Florida. I want to see Florida get a good bowl, like a decent bowl game. They're not going to be ranked, I don't think. I mean, they'll be. I doubt they'll be ranked, so I can't say they'll be ranked. However, it would be really interesting to see who they'll play in their bowl game because they're going to absolutely steamroll FSU this weekend. This is an in-state rivalry that I have with my friends here. I got a lot of friends that went to Florida State and a lot of friends that went to UF. We should kick the living shit out of Florida State. But after that, I want to see who their bowl game will be. I would love to see them play a Big Ten team, maybe like a Michigan. That'd be fun. But yeah, man, Lagway is really special. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, actually, a team I would want to see. Like from the SEC, like I feel like it'd be a good matchup. Them versus Auburn.
Florida versus Auburn. Oh, I think we beat Auburn by 10 points. We just beat Ole Miss and LSU.
Yeah, but Auburn just beat Texas A&M.
Yeah, but they went to 4 overtimes. I think A&M's okay. But anyways, going back to your point from a few weeks ago, remember how you said the Penn State thing? Would you ask me, do I think if Florida would beat Penn State? Now, if DJ Lagway is fully healthy, like if he is, which he's not going to be the rest of the season because he had that hamstring injury against Georgia, I think they could compete with just about anybody. With him on the field, fully healthy,
I don't know.
They almost beat. Did they not almost beat Georgia when he was in before he got hurt?
Okay, but Georgia also is like
they just beat Ole Miss and they just beat Ole Miss, who's number 9 in the country.
Yeah, but like Georgia, I mean Georgia, they lost to Ole Miss also.
Ole Miss is a good team. Doesn't matter. It's the SEC. It does. Listen,
yeah,
what I'm talking about.
Team in the SEC beat each other. I want to see.
Florida, any given Saturday.
Florida versus
Florida versus who?
I'm trying to. I want to see Florida versus. I'm trying to say a team that's not in the SEC because like
Big Ten. I mean, Colorado, Pac-12.
I mean, I can't say Colorado. Like Colorado is like we just saw. I guess you can only really go to.
I would love to see Florida play Colorado. You think Florida would beat Colorado?
Yeah. If
you
Colorado,
do. Okay. Yeah, Colorado, Florida. Yes.
Colorado literally they just lost.
Yeah. You're right.
To Kansas,
right.
Which Kansas does have the top offense, but in the Big 12,
they were supposed to be much better. All right. So let's pick a Big Ten team. What about Indiana?
I would have said Indiana before the Ohio State game. I don't know.
All right, let's go Penn State. Would Florida beat Penn State?
I think
with the fully healthy DJ Lagway.
If Penn State's home, I don't think Florida's beating Penn State.
What if it's a neutral site?
If it's a neutral site, then Penn State probably could lose because like Penn State, they're only very good with the whiteout.
Oh yeah, you love saying that. Yeah, they'll get a home. No, yeah, they're not that good. All right. Moving on to the NFL, we were just talking about the Saquon Barkley madness last night against the Philadelphia Eagles. Your Commanders lost to the Cowboys. I mean, last night Saquon Barkley put on an absolute show. I mean, I you know what though? Before we just homer on Saquon Barkley and he's amazing. Yeah, Saquon Barkley is a great player, but let's not sit here and we got to give credit. Let's sit here and give credit to the Eagles offensive line too, because they have a superb offensive line. They've had a really good offensive line these past few years. Saquon Barkley is great in open space. He's great, getting in between the hole, doing what he needs to do, but their offensive line is legit and they punished the Rams last night from what I saw. And yeah, it's great to see Saquon Barkley do what he's doing. It's special to see for sure. Something
I want to say though, they need to start flexing games more because like because if I'm someone that has work tomorrow or or just like only watches Sunday night
You're not
football, it's
working
like
tomorrow.
you know I'm saying like
I
if
know.
you have like something to do the next morning or whatever, you have something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like why would I want to stay up on a Sunday night to watch the Eagles and Rams? Like that doesn't
Well,
even
that whoa,
like
whoa,
that's
whoa, whoa. You can't flex that game. That's one of the best teams in the NFC versus a potential wild card team. That's not a bad matchup.
okay. I mean, I'd rather watch the 49ers and Packers, even though that was a blowout. I'd rather watch
With
that
the
at
third
Sunday
string
night football.
with the third string quarterback?
The 49ers still have like the most talented, like one of the most talented rosters. They still got CMC, they still got George Kittle, they still got Debo.
Yeah, they're
Um,
probably not even the Niners probably won't even make the playoffs this year.
that's the same thing with the Rams.
No, I'm just yeah, I know, but they're not going to flex that game out with the Eagles and the Rams. They already had that game on Fox. They already had that slotted in. I could see like
Or
maybe
if
like if it was like the Texans versus like the Colts, I could see that, but they're not going to flex another two big market teams like that out.
I
But let's
mean,
let
I,
let's bring this into
yeah,
the conversation. Are the Eagles Super Bowl contenders?
I feel like they're NFC contenders. I don't know about Super
Are
Bowl
they are
contenders.
the who do you think would win in the NFC Championship? Would the Lions or the Eagles win?
I think for sure the Lions. Like, I mean,
You think for sure?
The
I think it'd be
Lions
a
haven't
close
really
game.
played. The Lions haven't played nobody, but it's like the. But the thing is that, and they're. But the thing is, how did they just dominate?
Yeah.
I see the Eagles. Like the Eagles, they get hot
Hmm.
late in the game. The Lions control the whole game. Like they score like so much. Like I have a lot of friends that are like Lions fans, and they just like they just brag so much because like the Lions are finally good, but it's like
They're 10
they
and
deserve it.
1.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
good. They're really
they
good. Yeah.
yeah, they deserve it. But it's like at the same time, like now I know why people. It's like just like the NBA, like how people talk bad about the East. Like I feel like I understand why people talk bad about the NFC because like these top NFC teams aren't really playing anybody. Like the Eagles, the Eagles when they played, I would say
Hmm.
like one of their like they've had a couple good matchups like against the Packers, the Bucks, but like
Yep.
the Commanders were probably like their most real matchup. And when going in that game, they didn't look good until like then, and even at that, it was more of a
Hmm.
defensive breakdown by Washington. It wasn't like the Eagles like took control of the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I want to go on. I want to go to this point here real quick. Then we'll go back to the Eagles here in a few minutes. We need to talk about this. This is something that I want to hear your opinion about. You're gonna hear mine. Let's go for it. The
Oh yeah,
NFL offensive rookie of the year, Jayden Daniels has been slipping as of late, and you cannot sit here and say Bo Nix does not deserve to be in the conversation. If not, Jayden Daniels is probably second now. Everyone thought, oh, Jayden Daniels has run away with the NFL offensive rookie of the year. He should be in the MVP conversation. Well, they've lost 3 straight games now. Jayden Daniels has played okay, but Bo Nix has been on an absolute tear. Nix in his last 8 games has 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 5-3 record. They're 7-5. And Jayden Daniels in his last 3 games has 3 interceptions and 0-3 record. Now I understand it's a team game, but if you want to compare quarterback by quarterback, so far as a whole outcome, I know we still have 6 games to go, but Bo Nix right now is the offensive rookie of the year. So that's that. I don't know. That's how I feel.
This is actually ironic because I was talking to this Eagles fan earlier, and we were debating about this because he was like that. Jaden Daniels is like, he fell off. They lost 3 games, and now Bo Nix is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I said my personal opinion. I feel like you can say Bo Nix recently has been playing better, but I feel like these awards and stuff is off of like it's not biased, but it's off of what they're giving it to what people want to see, which the name, the hype, which Jaden Daniels, he won like so many rookie of the weeks. He turned around Washington from being the second draft pick to now being like a playoff or borderline playoff team. And the fact that they're gonna always remember that Hail Mary win when it comes
If
to
it wasn't
making
for
decisions.
if it yeah, you're right. And listen, I respect that you're a Commanders fan. You're being a little biased. Totally understand it. But but you have to but listen, the Denver Broncos were one play away from being 8-4, which the Chiefs got lucky. We all know that. So the Broncos would be 8-4 right now if it wasn't for that missed field goal. So you can't. So Bo Nix deserves Rookie of the Year right now. This is subject to change, of course, but from what I've seen so far, Nix these last 8 games has been spectacular because everyone loves to go by stats.
I can say the same thing about the Commanders and Steelers game when they had a chance. Instead of going for it on 4th and 2, they could have kicked the field goal and took the lead. And then
right, but this is a block. This is a blocked kick. This is like the luckiest thing that could happen in the NFL. One of the luckiest, other than the freaking Giants' two Super Bowl catches against the Patriots, Mario Manningham and David Tyree.
Well, if we want to talk about lucky, we might as well talk about the Commanders and Cowboys because that game was all over the place.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, but you guys missed the field goal.
Yeah, but there was also blocked field goals in that game. There was kick returns. There was punt returns. There was onside kick returns.
Let's compare. All right,
there was
fine,
it was like 50. I think they said it was like 50 something points in the second half combined.
All right, let's compare. But let's compare Jayden Daniels because everyone loves stats, so we have to go by stats. Daniel's stats compared to Nick's stats. Nick's outweighs him.
Okay, and I understand the aspect about if we're going off on paper, but then if we're gonna go off of paper, then let's go to the MVP conversation. Why is Mahomes even in the conversation? His stats does not compare to a lot of the people.
No, he doesn't. So who's your NFL MVP right now?
I think my NFL MVP right now is Josh Allen.
Oh, okay, agreed. I thought you were gonna say Saquon or Henry. I was gonna do you take your glasses off? No, it's. I love Saquon Barkley. I love Derrick Henry, but Adrian Peterson was the last running back to win MVP. Saquon Barkley would have to continue to break these records. He'd have to break Chris Johnson's all-purpose record, which he's technically on pace to. But you and I both know in this day in the NFL, this modern day, they are not going to give the MVP to a running back. Saquon and Derrick Henry will not win MVP. It's going to be a quarterback. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Offensive Player of the Year, sure. Christian McCaffrey won it last year. Justin Jefferson won it the year before.
I definitely think Derrick Henry gonna win Offensive Player of the Year.
What about Saquon Barkley?
Like people are saying Saquon, but it's like Derrick Henry has more.
Who's the best running back? Who's the best running back in the NFL right now? Is over Saquon?
Like, yes, like Derrick Henry. No. If we're talking about stats, Derrick Henry has more rushing yards. He's been.
Saquon over Derrick Henry over Saquon Barkley? No, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't. Saquon's a more dynamic back too. Derrick Henry's not. He's just a power guy.
I thought we were talking about like this season. I didn't know we were talking about like.
I'm talking about this season. Yeah, I mean their numbers are pretty comparable, aren't they? Derrick Henry has a lot of rushing touchdowns. I understand that. They also put him in he's also the goal line guy too as well.
He's beating him in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. And
how much is he beating him by?
He's beating him. He has 1,185.
1,185
touchdowns.
Yeah. What does Saquon have?
Saquon has 1,392. Oh no, he's not beating him in rushing yards. He's beating him in touchdowns.
I was to say. So Saquon Barkley is better than Derrick Henry this year.
I mean, if you're only going off for rushing yards, I guess.
Just as a complete back.
I mean, as a complete back, he averages.
Who do you think? Okay, so who do you think has changed their franchise around for their back for this season so far? Who has had more of an effect, Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley?
I think recently Saquon Barkley, but if we're going there was a point when the Ravens were people were saying Ravens had the best offense, they also
were 0-3 at one point too.
Yeah, but the Ravens, the Ravens and Chiefs, they were the top. The Ravens, we talking about games should have won. The Ravens really should have beat the Chiefs in the first week of the season.
I don't know about that.
You saw the overturn and the game ended.
That was not a catch.
He caught it and then he was not in it. His
foot was out of bounds.
But the 2 feet were in, and then it was out of bounds. And then, I think
he did not catch that ball.
Wasn't that likely? Didn't he get injured after that?
likely did get injured after that. I'm pretty sure. However,
Yeah.
anyways, sticking here on this, I get it. I think the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Ravens will probably find each other back in the playoffs as well. But Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, either one of those guys. I think Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the NFL right now. They could be in the MVP conversation, but not the MVP. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of good stuff. What went on in the Week 12? We got to talk here about this one. We got to address this one. The Patriots lost the Dolphins 34-15. They looked promising to start the game, but clearly that wasn't the case. But this one here really is really interesting to me because the Patriots fans are so used to winning. All those years with Brady, they had that one good season with Mac Jones his rookie year. They went 10-7. But from this game here, Gerard Mayo on the Patriots' mistakes / performance. Look, once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. I don't see. There's things that you and I say. We don't say those on air. You say those behind closed door. There's certain things you say, and there's certain things you don't. Sometimes you just need to keep your trap shut. In this situation here, your team's Patriots are 3-9. This is not the thing that you should say. I know a couple weeks ago he said our players are playing soft. That's two right there. It's like, no, they shouldn't fire this guy after one season. People are already calling for his head. We've talked about this earlier. But this is something you can't say. It doesn't look good for the fan base. It doesn't look good for the organization as a whole. Maybe people are buying into it or reading into it too much, but this is something you just don't say, especially when your team is not very good. Look, once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. You're the coach. You prepare them. I understand you want them to take accountability for their actions on the field, but something you just don't say. What did you think?
But I mean, I feel like people don't. They don't like. I know Belichick did. Like, I know Belichick's not the coach. I'm just saying. I'm comparing to how Belichick, when he was the coach for the Patriots, that he was someone that he made them winners. But like the recent years, when Brady was gone, and yes, there was a year when they made the playoffs, but like last year, like when they only had like 4 wins, like he gave up like on the team. Like he just didn't make any adjustments. Like they weren't playing Patriots football. Like they weren't like Mac Jones. Like people were saying Mac Jones was going to be a future. People were saying Mac
Thought he
Jones was like a lot of people. Like some people were saying like Mac Jones reminded them of Tom Brady a little bit. Like how his play style. Like
yeah,
he
100%.
And like I even like the year he was getting drafted, like before the draft, I made the prediction. I was like, I think the Patriots are gonna draft Mac Jones because that's their scheme. They want a QB that's just like Tom Brady. If Tom Brady worked for them for all these years, why not get someone that resembles that? And it just didn't pan out. It didn't work. And yes, you could say maybe it's because they didn't have weapons. He didn't have weapons. He didn't have receivers and stuff. But that's the same thing you could say this year. Drake May, he doesn't really have
Drake. No, you're right. Drake May's a lot better than Mac Jones. I understand your point. I thought Mac Jones was going to be a lot better than he was supposed to be, but there's only so much time in the NFL personnel-wise. Did the Patriots really surround Mac Jones with any talent? No. After Mac Jones' rookie year, they went 10-7 and they lost to the Bills in the wildcard game. Heck, I was like, oh, promising. We just got to the wildcard game. I know we lost to the Bills. They are a really good team. But then the wheels just kept falling off. But the whole Mac Jones thing is a conversation for another day. But just sticking here on Gerard Mayo, it's just, I don't know if his seat's getting hot, but this offseason is going to be really interesting to see what they do. They're going to land a top 3 pick again, I'm pretty sure. Remains to be seen who they will pick. We've been having this conversation over and over again. But I think the Patriots, for example, they need to give Drake May an offensive coordinator like that can really mold him and sit there and surround him with talent, just like how the Rams did with Goff, just like how the with McVay with Goff, just like how Ben Johnson with Jared Goff, just like how Bobby Slowick with CJ Stroud. These offensive coordinators that can help these young quarterbacks, because I don't think Alex Van Pelt is cutting it. Now you can say, well, they don't really have a lot of weapons, like you said. They don't really have any receivers. They don't have wide receiver one. But sometimes it's also the play calling too. And I know you feel like you're limited because your receivers can't separate, or you don't feel confident and your offensive line isn't very good. But I think for Drake May's development, I think you need to give him a legit offensive coordinator that's been proven in this NFL. Like, for example, Sean Payton and Bo Nix are a perfect pairing with one another, because Bo Nix he seems pretty good to me, and he's got Sean Payton, who's an amazing play caller, who was huge in Drew Brees' career all those years. Obviously, I know the Patriots are not going to get a guy like Sean Payton, but a name for the Patriots, Andrew, who they should, because I think the Giants are going to fire Brian Dable. I don't know if it's going to happen earlier or some point through the season in the next few weeks. After the season and the offseason, the New England Patriots should go get Brian Dable to be their offensive coordinator once the Giants fire him, because he has been proven as an offensive coordinator in the league. He was with Josh Allen. He was at Alabama all those years. He was also on the Patriots staff years ago. So I think a pairing like that would make sense. Now, I don't want to say Gerard Mayo is not the guy yet, because he's only had one season, and Bill Belichick in his first 11 games, he was 3-8. Bill Parcells was 1-10 in his first 11 games. So to sit there and say you got to fire Gerard Mayo, is a reach. It's an overreaction. However, for this upcoming offseason, you need to go get yourself a tackle. You need to get yourself a wide receiver one. I don't know if it's going to be T. Higgins or not, but it's got to be a big home run wide receiver one, because for what we've seen from the New England Patriots these past few years with their drafting at receivers, it has not been good. Tyquan Thornton was a no-go. N'Keal Harry was a no-go. So there's been other names as well. So you have to get yourself a wide receiver one. I think somebody that's been either proven in the NFL, maybe if you want to, go steep and you want to draft McMillan out of Arizona, but I think the Patriots need a tackle. You need somebody for Drake May's blindside, because Vidarian Lowe and Demontre Jacobs are just not cutting the job. They are just not cutting the job. You need somebody that can be an absolute force for Drake May. But offensive coordinator, tackle, receiver, those should be your main things for this upcoming offseason. I can talk about the Patriots all day long, but we got to move on to some other things before we wrap up, because we got about 20 minutes left. However, that Steelers-Browns game was absolutely drunk. It was a snow game. It was crazy. The Steelers ended up losing. The Browns ended up winning 24-19. It was kind of back and forth late there. It kind of felt boring, but Jameis Winston was the highlight of that game. On was it 4th and goal? He ran it in, but that was a Thursday night game, our first snow game of the season. Bears ended up losing to the Vikings 30-27 in overtime. Lions steamrolled the Colts 24-6. Your Commanders lost to the Cowboys. That was a good game for most part. The Chiefs beat the Panthers 30-27. Game-winning field goal for them with Spencer Schrader. Titans and the Texans, that was the Titans 32, Texans 27. Will Levis had that crazy big throw touchdown. Texans had that safety with C.J. Stroud. Bucks steamrolled the Giants. The Giants are an absolute mess. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 34-15. Dolphins will play the Packers this week, this Thursday, frozen tundra. Will Tua be able to shut down the narrative with the whole Tua can't play in cold weather games? We'll see about that. You were talking about the Packers and the Niners earlier. The Packers steamrolled the Niners 38-10. And the storyline, the highlight of that game was Keyshawn Nixon talking about the Niners. Well, we had our second string quarterbacks. We won 3 straight games. There's no excuses why the Niners are complaining about not having Purdy. And then Seahawks Cardinals 16-6. I didn't really watch that game. I saw a highlight. I know Kyler Murray had that ugly interception to Kobe Bryant, who had the pick 6 on him. And then the last game was the Eagles and the Rams at 37-20. But did you want to address anything from the NFL before we move?
I was gonna say actually, a game that was fascinating me. Like I was looking at it like I think a couple or like 3-4 weeks ago. It was before the Bills and Chiefs played. I was looking at the schedule, looking at the Panthers being on the schedule, gonna face the Chiefs, and I was like, the Panthers, they've been winning and stuff, and I feel like I've been hearing this a lot, and I agree with it. Like these trap games get to teams like the Chiefs, like the teams that are like on top, like that are high seas or whatever, that like dominant. They always underestimate the lower down teams, and I feel like that was a prime example yesterday, because there should be no reason that the Panthers lost to the Commanders by like 40 points, but that they only lose to the Chiefs by like 3 points. And I know it's a different time, like the beginning of the season, the Commanders beat the Panthers compared to, and Bryce Young wasn't even playing at the time, to now Bryce Young being in, and it's a different Panthers team. But I personally, the games that I've watched that the Panthers have won, Bryce Young hasn't even really impressed me like that. I don't think Bryce Young is like the game changer. I just feel like it's the Panthers. They're just like, I mean, it's kind of dumb. They're kind of like the Cowboys. Like they just want to play to win. Like they don't, because I mean, either way, I don't think you're allowed to technically tank. So it's like they're still trying to play to be competitive and make like good games and just like mess up these like seedings or just like upset teams. But it's like
Mhm.
I think, but I don't. But I mean, the Cowboys. I can't even say that very for the Cowboys because they only showed that today. Like they weren't doing that the past like 5 weeks. But the Panthers recently they have shown that they want teams to stop disrespecting them, sleeping on them. Like
Mhm.
they don't care about that draft pick. Like they've had a good draft pick like the past 2-3 years. Like they don't need
Well,
another good draft pick.
speaking of, you said trap games or teams that come in overconfident. You were an adolescent at the time, but when Ohio State played Florida in the national championship and Florida beat Ohio State, I'm just trolling you. But no, you're absolutely right. And it'll be interesting to see what the Panthers will do with Bryce Young this offseason. If I'm sure they're going to bring him back, but I think with Bryce Young too, I've had this conversation with people I've talked about on the podcast. Does Bryce Young have this really big arm? No. Is he super athletic? No. He's very undersized in the NFL, but I think you got to give him a little more time, a little bit more talent maybe around him. But the Panthers, they haven't looked bad these past few weeks. Shout out to Bryce Young and kudos to him because he could have easily crumbled like a cookie because they, kind of, basically said, hey, we're going to Andy Dalton. We're done with you. And then that didn't work out that quickly. And then now he's back and he's playing much better than he has. He played pretty good against the Chiefs. I mean, they went toe to toe with them. I think he had like 263 and a touchdown. So it's not like, Bryce Young is throwing 3-4 picks against the Chiefs or he's playing bad. He's been pretty good. But I want to move on to the Thanksgiving games here. We got the Lions.
I just want to say something real quick though about
Mm-hmm.
the Bryce Young. I don't. This might be a stretch, but he kind of like
Excuse me.
size wise and play style. I feel like he reminds me of a less like a watered down version of Kyler Murray. Like Kyler
I knew
Murray,
you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
because Kyler Murray, he would pass the ball. Like I mean, he would get a lot of passing yards. He was an MVP. He was actually one year he was like an MVP conversation. But it's like
Mm,
and I feel like Bryce Young, he has the potential. He did his thing in college, and I know this is not
mm,
college, but they were both top prospects, and I feel like if he gets the weapons like how Kyler Murray one year when he had D Hop, Rondell Moore, Christian
mm.
Kirk, I think there was someone else too. Like he had Andy
Yeah.
Isabella, like he had a whole speed core, and it's like that's why their offense was kind of like the Dolphins, like it's a speed offense, like a fast paced offense. And I feel like
Mm,
if they give Bryce Young something like that, that would help his transition even more because when you're coming from college where you had all these weapons, all these 5 stars, had Jameson Williams, you had um you had all these top receiving prospects and just had like all these stars, like then like when you get into the NFL and don't have really anything, like it shows like the difference. Like I mean,
mm.
people were thinking like that was the same thing with Jayden Daniels. Like he wasn't really going to be able to transition, but he still has like Terry McLaurin. Like the Washington doesn't have like a terrible receiving core. Like it's about average. I mean,
Yeah,
if
no,
you had
you're absolutely right. You're 100% right. But I want to move on to the Thanksgiving games here. We have the Bears and the Lions. I also Thanksgiving football is so underrated. I mean, I think it's awesome. I think it's like it's better than NBA Christmas. It's better than what else we got? We got NBA Christmas. I think there's a
um,
few other ones, but I think Thanksgiving football is just the best because you get to spend time with the family. You get to eat all that food. Even before that, you have some good breakfast. You watch these early games, these classic teams that always play. You got the Bears and the Lions. They've played so many times on Thanksgiving. Then you go to the Giants and the Cowboys, which is going to be an absolute dumpster fire of a game. Then we got the Dolphins and the Packers, which should be a good game as well because if Tua is going to be able to shut down the narrative about playing in the frozen tundra, because we saw in the wild card game last year against the Chiefs, they laid a complete egg. So that'll be fun to watch. Tua versus Jordan Love. Last time the Dolphins and the Packers played was on Christmas Day, not this past season, the season before that, and that was when Tua had got that concussion. Was Jordan Love playing? Was Jordan Love? Did Jordan Love play? I think he did because Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing because that
yeah,
was when
yeah,
Yeah, Tua had that concussion. So that was Jordan Love because the Cowboys because the Dolphins played the Cowboys last year on Christmas, and that was that game where everyone was like, "Oh, the Dolphins and the Cowboys, they haven't played anybody. They're both so overrated. They're both so overrated." And then it came down. The Cowboys didn't score on the goal line there. I think it was like earlier in the game. The Dolphins ended up winning that game. However, these Thanksgiving games should be fun.
I personally, I feel like they did it wrong because, like, yeah, they don't make the schedule, but it's like they. I understand, like, this might be a bias, but I understand
You
last
want
year
the
they had.
Commanders.
I'm saying they had the Commanders and Cowboys on Thanksgiving last year, and it was terrible. But
Oh,
this
yeah.
year would have been a good year to put that on Thanksgiving because it's like one of those rivalries. Like the only game on Thanksgiving that I agree with is the Bears and Lions because like the Lions
Yeah.
always play on Thanksgiving, and it's like that's a rivalry, and that's actually still probably going to be an entertaining game. But like the Packers and Dolphins right now, like the Dolphins, I just feel like it's going
Well,
to be similar to the Pack.
they're 5-6 and they're battling for a playoff spot. So
It's just going to be just like the Packers and 49ers. Like the 49ers, we're still battling for a playoff spot, and they got.
it's going to be a good game. I think the Dolphins and the Packers will be a really close game for sure. You don't think it'll be a good game?
I think the
Really?
Packers. I think the Packers are trying to make their name in the NFC because like
And the Dolphins are battling for a wild card spot too. They're in the hunt right now.
and something I also want to say like it's ridiculous what they're doing with like this Black Friday games because like are we serious like
Raiders Chiefs.
because yeah there's no way the only reason we know the reason they put the Raiders on Black Friday game but it's like literally like
Why?
come on like because like they're like the whole promotion I'm just seeing they're showing like the black like the Raiders like black and white so they're like oh put them on Black
Mhm.
Friday and it's like it like their old team like their old logo like they're just trying to make the whole black and white thing go on but it's like oh
That's an interesting one. I haven't heard of
but
that one before.
I mean because that's literally if you watch the commercial that's literally all they're not even showing very like they're showing the Chiefs but they're making the production like black and white and it's
Mhm.
like I
Raiders
don't
Chiefs.
understand I don't understand why it's like, oh, like why they think going into the season that the Raiders and Chiefs was going to be a good game. Like, I mean, yes, they still had Devontae Adams, but they have no QB. They have like no one else on the team. Like no one.
Yeah, speaking of the Raiders, Gardner Minshew is officially out for the season with a broken collarbone. If the Raiders had any sort of brain, if they just want to have fun the rest of the season and just do the awesome thing for the NFL, the Raiders should sign Daniel Jones. They should sign Daniel Jones for the rest of the season. Let him play. You have one healthy quarterback on the roster right now with Aiden O'Connell. So I think it'd be a no-brainer. The Raiders should sign him, especially now with the Gardner Minshew injury. Be fun to see if Daniel Jones is even worth the damn after that blunder and mess of a situation in New York. So I think it'd be fun. The Raiders are arguably the worst team in the NFL.
And
They're
that's
going to be
terrible
battling
because
for the first pick as well. The Raiders should sign Daniel Jones. See what Daniel Jones could do. I think it'd be fun,
that's
especially if they could sign him before Black Friday and he could play Friday against the Chiefs. You know how fun that would be.
and
I'd love
that's
that.
terrible because like the only time Daniel Jones really balled out in this season is when it's against the Commanders. Like he was running. Like I remember that one year when he almost ran for a touchdown off
Against
of
the
like a read
Eagles
option.
on Thursday night against the Eagles. Remember that?
I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about there was a year.
A
It
couple
was like
years
the
ago.
Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was
That's
like,
it.
and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
least he fell and didn't score, but still, like that
Maybe,
was hard
hey,
to watch.
maybe Daniel Jones isn't as bad as the Giants put him out to be because Malik Neighbors said it's not the quarterback, it's the Giants organization and the team. However, though, I wanted to talk about this because I did really get upset about this sticking on Daniel Jones here. The New York Football Giants should be 100% ashamed of themselves for doing what they did to Daniel Jones, the way they handled it. Not the whole, not Daniel Jones as a quarterback. We know he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL, but everything that transpired, putting Daniel Jones at safety in practice is an embarrassment. If I was Daniel Jones, kudos to him. I would have walked off the field, said, here's my helmet. Here you go. I would have pulled an Antonio Brown. There is no way you do that to a player. That's a shame. That's a shameful thing to do. That's like you're a team or an organization that's won 4 Super Bowls to do that to a player and put him at safety for what? He's already on his way out. There's no need to do that. That's embarrassing for the Giants organization. Brian Dable said he didn't know about it. That's a bunch of horse shit.
I
They
think
not saying they didn't fail Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones could have been a lot better, but in that situation there, you don't do that to a player. To do that to him. And there obviously he wasn't. He told his agent, "I'm out. I don't want to be here." Like I said, if I was Daniel Jones, I would have walked off the field. I wouldn't even. I said, "Here's my helmet. Here's my gear. I'm out." So
I, I think he probably was thinking the financial perspective, that I mean,
Yeah, no,
he
the
has,
financial perspective, of course, but they moved him down on the depth chart to quarterback 4 because they had, or 3. It was DeVito, Locke, and then Jones.
yeah.
Why do you need to put him at safety in practice? I don't remember the last time I've ever even seen that. What's the point? Like, oh, I understand it's a team game and you do what you can for the team. That's just embarrassing him. That's just making him feel like he's worth 0. Listen, they're players at the end of the day. They're human beings. You can critique them for their play on the field, but the guy's never done anything in like press conference wise, or he's been in trouble off the field or done anything like that. He's never like shunned the organization. Then he gave a statement afterwards when that happened, and that obviously as soon as they did that, I knew they were going to release him. However, the Giants are going to save $20 million when, now that they did release him and he's not coming back next year. But that's in that situation there. You don't do that. There's like a fine line, and that right there was the final straw. That was it.
I agree.
So, anyways, let's end it off. I think we'll save, I guess, the best part to last. We'll break away a little bit from football and sports. Do some Thanksgiving talk real quick before we end off here. A little happy Thanksgiving, everyone, early here Thursday. Man, I love Thanksgiving. It comes around, of course, once a year. You get to spend time with the family, get to eat that turkey, you get to eat the stuffing, the green beans, the casserole, the mashed potatoes. Everyone's family does it differently, but let's just go it off with a bang. What do you think the best Thanksgiving side is?
Well, before I say the best Thanksgiving side, I agree. Like
What's up?
I like to look forward to Thanksgiving because
yeah,
because a main reason that I like Ohio State is because like most of my family's from Ohio, and then and my sister, she goes to Ohio State, so it's like,
oh wow,
for Thanksgiving we're gonna be going to Ohio, and then we're supposed to be going to the Ohio State Michigan game because we go like every year for Thanksgiving. So
oh wow,
something
that's
to look
awesome.
forward to. Yeah.
You're gonna be freezing your ass off.
Yeah, I saw the Cleveland and Cincinnati games.
Yeah, that was
Ohio
crazy.
State games.
That was crazy to think about.
But about the Thanksgiving sides, though, actually, something that you didn't know about me is that I'm a vegetarian. So I
You
actually
are?
so I actually look forward to the sides the most. And
so what do you eat? So what do you eat on Thanksgiving? You just eat the sides?
Yeah, I really eat the sides, and then I mean, sometimes they try to come up with like different like fake meat recipes and stuff, but most of the time, times, just like eat the greens, broccoli casserole,
beans, greens, potatoes, you name it.
Yeah, but my favorite actually, I think the obvious answer people would say is like mac and cheese for the side, or like the rolls. But I would say my favorite is like the sweet potato casserole is what I call it. Because like when they have the marshmallow, when they have the marshmallow on top of the sweet potato, like, oh man.
All right, so let's give me your top 5 Thanksgiving sides. I'll give you mine. You give me yours.
All right, so I would say sweet potato casserole.
Is that number
mac
1?
and cheese. Yeah, number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, mac and cheese. Number 3. It depends how you make it, but the broccoli casserole.
I've never had that.
Because broccoli casserole, it's like with the breading, like the crumbs, the breading crumbs, and then broccoli and the cheese, and just like it's just like very tasty, and it's like it's just fulfilling, to be honest.
All right, that's 3,
cool.
4.
Do you count rolls as a side, or
no? Absolutely not.
I mean, okay,
no.
So okay, then I'll say the collard greens.
I hate collard greens. Ugh.
If you gotta put sauce on it. You gotta put sauce on it.
Oh, I don't like. I think. All right, 5. 5.
5. I don't. 5 is hard because I was thinking mashed potatoes, but I don't even like the mashed potatoes like that. I mean, yes, if you have gravy on it, if you put gravy on the mashed potatoes, okay, yeah, like it's top 5. But it's like, but you got to think about, since I'm vegetarian, I have to eat like the veggie gravy, like, so it's like it doesn't taste as good. But I'm trying to think, is there any other sides that people?
You got one. I mean, you got one more. You got 4. You have sweet potato. You have sweet potato casserole, broccoli casserole,
Mac and
mac and
cheese,
cheese, and then
collard greens.
collard greens, and you have one more.
I guess mashed potatoes. I can't think of anything else on the top of my head that.
Okay, all right. So you're 5. Those are your 5. All right, I'm going. All right, number 1, mashed potatoes for sure. 2,
Okay.
two. I gotta go stuffing. That's a classic. 3.
Oh, I forgot about this stuff.
3.
I was like, I knew I was forgetting something.
3 mac and cheese. I'll go there. 4. Man, 4. Ooh, so I got mashed potatoes at 1. I got stuffing at 2. I got mac and cheese at 3. I guess they do consider. They actually do consider bread aside. So I'm gonna get a lot of heat for that. 4. Oh, I hate cranberry sauce. So that's cranberry sauce and collard greens are literally thrown in the dumpster. I like cranberry juice, but not cranberry sauce.
That's what I'm saying. I like cranberry juice, but the cranberry
sauce. Okay. All right. Mashed potatoes 1, stuffing 2, mac and cheese 3, some sort of like the vegetable, like glazed carrots or like green bean casserole is really good. So one of those is that. We'll go with 4.
How you had green bean casserole but not broccoli casserole? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I just never. I never had. I don't think I've ever had broccoli casserole. And then 5, I would probably have to go. I can't say deviled eggs. Those are good, but I can't say 5.
You didn't even say the sweet potatoes.
I don't even know if I have. Yeah, sweet potato. I don't like sweet potato casserole that much though. I really don't. I don't think I have 5 sides that I can name my top 5. I don't think I could. Like I think I could do 4. I got mashed potatoes. I got stuffing. I got mashed potatoes, stuffing, and like mac and cheese. I'm a pretty plain person. I could literally just do mashed potatoes and stuffing and one other. I don't need to do all 5. I don't get that crazy into it. Plain plate for me. A little bit of gravy, turkey, ham though. Ooh man, ham is. Ooh. Yeah, and then dessert too. You got dessert too at the end, but I also too, like you said, the meaning of Thanksgiving too. Which is cool because like the Pilgrims from all the way back in the day with Plymouth Rock and all that, and how the Pilgrims used to celebrate Thanksgiving. But I love Thanksgiving. It's crazy too because it's literally right next to Christmas. It's like you do Thanksgiving, you get all the football in, you do all the Thanksgiving with the family, and then 3 weeks later it's like, oh, it's Christmas. So it's like the holiday comes around so quick, and then you feel like it's Christmas right now, right around the corner.
Well, since you said the meaning, so a reason I added on the list about like if Thanksgiving is overrated in your opinion, because like people like my peers and stuff, like my friends that I'll talk to, like from like high school and college and stuff, like they always saying like that. Like I'm hearing a lot of people that are just trying to be different, like saying, "Oh, like I don't really care for Thanksgiving. I don't like the food. Like I don't see the purpose of it. Like hanging out with family." Which I mean, you can understand because like some people, I feel like the older you get, you value hanging around your family more because
I agree.
Because you don't know how long they're really gonna last, and you're just like saving those moments. But it's like but like someone that's in high school or just getting into college like me or whatever, and then being with like your family like almost all the time, and then just like and since I'm local, like like it's like I see my parents like pretty often, and it's like, or I come home pretty often and stuff. So it's like then when Thanksgiving comes around, it's like it's not very. I mean, I'm seeing my other family members, but like mainly my mom, my dad, and like my sister, and my brother. Like when I see them and stuff, it's like it's not like a special moment. It's like just like I just feel like someone like me would take it for granted. But I still understand the value of Thanksgiving because like I look forward to it every year because it's a special moment. Like I said, to go to Ohio State and just like and I just think it's special for me because I'm not going home to like my home. Like I'm going to my grandmother's home, and I'm going to another state. Like not everybody has the luxury to do that. Like most of the time, people are just going back to their home.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I do appreciate that as well. And for me, last year I was actually in California, so I didn't even get to spend Thanksgiving with my mom or my dad or some of my close family friends here. I actually spent Thanksgiving with my sister in California, in Northern California, because I actually had to work Black Friday, so I didn't really have any family out there. So I think, like you said, the family tradition, the nice, feeling of being home with family or being around family, feels great. And I actually had a great, Thanksgiving with my sister last year and her family. I can't even believe that it's already Thanksgiving. It's already been just about a year. But I think, like you
Yeah.
said, the tradition, the family aspect, the feel, the feeling of being comfortable, because if you're living away or you're living in another state, you don't get that sense of seeing your family all the time. Like a FaceTime is not the same as being with your family in person. So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna have a great time in Ohio. But aside from the food and all that, like it's fun, it's cool, it's different because you don't have the food that often. But I really think it's the camaraderie and the feeling of being with your family and being with them, and feeling that tight knit and that tradition, because some families do it differently. Some families may travel or some don't, but I think, like you said, the foundation is really nice of being with your family, whether some people believe in the whole meaning of Thanksgiving or if they don't. But like I said, I think the feeling of being with your family is important.
So I want to ask real quick, what would be your
Hmm.
top five in order, like holidays?
Oh, holidays, top five of all time. Oh
Yeah,
man, jeez, that's hard.
top three.
Let's do three. Yeah, let's do three. I'd have to go Christmas. I love Christmas. I mean, I'm religious. I love God, but I and Jesus. God, whatever. I love the feeling of Christmas because you wake up in the morning and a presents, like you still feel like you're a kid on Christmas, but just I don't know, the feeling of Christmas. It's like an exciting day. But you have to go Christmas one, of course. Thanksgiving two, and then actually, you know what? Let me change that. I like Fourth of July. I love Fourth of July. I'd have to go Fourth of July. Actually, no, I have to say Christmas is one. I have to go Christmas one. I'd have to go Christmas one, Thanksgiving two, Fourth of July three. I love Christmas, of course. Like I told you the feeling of it. Thanksgiving, the feeling of being with your family, the good food, the fun. Christmas, like your family might do a prime rib or a roast, or maybe they do a turkey or a ham, or they just do like steak or whatever. Or different families can afford certain things, some can't. Some people just like that family tradition. For me, third is Fourth of July because you get to celebrate America's birthday. Some people say it's their favorite holiday. It's a really big time. It's a lot of fun. Everyone gets to go crazy in the streets and the fireworks. I don't really care about the fireworks that much, but Fourth of July just feels like an all day thing. Christmas and Thanksgiving, like you kind of feel tired and stuff and all that. But those are my three right there.
Yeah, I would say personally my
Who do
three.
you got for your three?
I would agree with Christmas. I feel like yes, it's good to feel like kid with the gifts and
Hmm.
stuff, but I feel like when like getting older and stuff, like and knowing
Yeah.
like the meaning of Christmas, and it's kind of similar.
Hmm.
It's kind of the similar meaning of like Thanksgiving, like being with your family, like enjoying the
Yeah.
moment, like enjoying your time, and very. It's just like I don't know about you, but yeah, like the feeling like when I see the snow and when I see and when
Yeah.
I and like as a kid, like knowing like the snow was like we went out to go out to school the next day and stuff, and it's like and it's
Yeah.
just like that happy, just like I would always like just the feeling mentally, like I would always be happy when it's Christmas Day, so or Christmas week,
No,
so
you're
um
100%.
that's
And two,
that
you have the Christmas movies as well. Like
yeah
Christmas is,
Christmas
you have
movie
all the movies, the traditional
like a
movies,
Christmas
the
story.
Christmas story. Yeah, I'm glad you know about that. Some people I meet, they don't. They're like, I've never heard of Christmas story. I'm like, what? For something funny here. Actually, my mom and I were at Marshall's was it a week ago or last weekend, and I was like, mom, I actually got the I got the Christmas story bunny rabbit costume, the Ralphie costume. I'm gonna wear it on Christmas. So I got that. But yeah, like I said, the Christmas tradition is great. The movies too. You made me think of the movies too. And who doesn't love a big fat guy in a white suit? So Christmas is definitely number one for me. I
Yeah.
love Thanksgiving, but the tradition and the feeling of it, and the Christmas tree and the decorations. I know it's not about the presents and that, but the tradition and the being with your family is
I think I'm
important.
gonna
And it's only one time a year.
I think I'm gonna shock you with I didn't even say two, but two with Thanksgiving, but I think I'm gonna shock you with number three, which is
Hmm.
Easter because
Yeah,
I'll say Easter because I'm like what you said, you're religious, like I'm pretty
yeah,
religious also, like I'm a Christian and I believe like Easter, like that's like a special moment to like go to church and just like kind of and it's just like it's fun because like when you get to see kids like kind of going all around like trying to
yeah,
get the Easter eggs and Easter hunts and it's like it's just like a lot of creativity to Easter. Like I feel like it's like a special moment, and I feel like a lot of people like holidays like Christmas, Easter, and stuff. Like
Mhm.
it makes people like become like more religious. Like they want to go to church any other time than like those
Yeah.
events. So it brings people together.
No,
Even
you're absolutely
Thanksgiving
right.
brings people together. You could
Yeah.
have a family that hasn't talked in years, and but
Mhm.
they always come back for Thanksgiving because like they know the
The
significance.
tradition.
Yeah.
Yes. The last part about the little holiday frenzy fun here is Christmas too, man. You got the NBA and you got the NFL now. So it's like it's hard to beat Christmas. It really is. The NBA games are always fun. We've had some crazy NBA games on Christmas Day. We had that Warriors Cavs matchup a few years ago, or actually more than a few years ago. You had that Lakers Heat matchup on Christmas Day. The alley oop to LeBron and Wade off the backboard. That one when the Heat wore those all red jerseys. Kobe on Christmas Day. So we've had some fun Christmas Day games. But yeah, Christmas is unmatched. You got the NBA, you got the NFL. So, but yeah, man, I think that does it for us, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We hit a thousand subscribers last week. We're at 1,017 and counting. Thanks for Bing for coming on the Inquisitive Mamba podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. You may not like everything I say, but I'm here to give you my opinion. And that's how I feel with sports, entertainment, pop culture. Same thing with Bing here, him coming on the show. He is a University of Howard student. He has been coming on the podcast this past semester with school. We decided to bring him on. He's been a great addition as well. But yeah, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We talked about the college football preview of this weekend, the college football madness that has been going on with the playoffs. Who will win the Heisman? Are the Gators officially back next season with DJ Lagway? Bing going to the Ohio State-Michigan game. My time at the Florida Ole Miss game this past weekend in the swamp. Only Gators get out alive. Chomp, chomp. Bing going to the horseshoe this weekend. Some NFL Thanksgiving games. The meaning of the tradition of Christmas and Thanksgiving, along with our favorite holidays. Some Thanksgiving sides. Ooh, baby. Some Thanksgiving sides. Oh, man. Oh, man. But like I said, guys, thanks again for tuning into another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. Always appreciate you guys listening to me yap for over an hour. But make sure to hit that subscribe button. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy Black Friday. Be safe this Thursday to Sunday weekend because I know it can get crazy out there. I got to get that TV. I got to get this. I got to get that. It's like, just take it easy. Take a deep breath. Have fun with your family this weekend. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the tradition. And we will see you guys next week.